Okay, I'm live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the video. Today is day 104. And so, yesterday I finished up Nehemiah, which means today I'll be starting Esther. And for Esther, I'm going to be reading 5 chapters both days because it's 10 chapters in total. So, I'm actually kind of curious how long the total thing would be. So, I'm going to see how many chapters are in the Bible. Let's see. So, there is 1,189 chapters between the Old Testament and New Testament in this translation, and according to 5 sources. So then I'm going to open up a calculator, and I'm going to divide 1,189 by 4, and so it'll roughly take 297 days to read through the Bible on this channel. But the thing is, I do read the 5 chapters a day every so often, and so it's slightly faster. But it's already been a minute and a half, so I'm going to get started. Vashti angers the king, chapter 1 of Esther. These events took place during the days of Ahasuerus, who ruled 127 provinces from India to Kush. In those days, King Ahasuerus reigned from his royal throne in the fortress of Susa. He held a feast, and 30 years ran for all of its officials and staff, the army of Persia and Media, the nobles, the officials from the provinces. He displayed the glorious wealth of his kingdom and the magnificent splendor of his greatness for a total of 180 days. At the end of this time, the king held a week-long banquet in the garden courtyard for the royal palace for the people from the greatest to the least who were present in the fortress of Susa. White and violet linen hangings were fastened to fine white and purple linen cords to silver rods and marble columns. Gold and silver couches were arranged on a mosaic pavement of red fieldspar, marble, mother of pearl, and precious stones. Drinks were served in an array of gold goblets, each with different design. Royal wine flowed freely, and according to the king's bounty, the drinking was according to a royal decree. There are no restrictions. The king had ordered every wine steward in his household to serve whatever each person wanted. King Vashti also gave a great feast for the women of King Ahasuerus' palace. On the 10th day, the king was feeling good from the wine. Ashers commanded Mihim, Bizat, Harboniah, Big the Abith, Cigar, and Carcass, the 7 eunuchs who personally served him, to bring Queen Vashti before him with her royal crown. He wanted to show off her beauty to the people and the officials, because she was very beautiful. But Queen Vashti refused to come to the king's command delivered by his eunuchs. The king became furious, and his anger burned within him. King's decree. The king consulted wise men who understood the times. Where it was normal procedure to confer with the experts in law and justice. The most trusted ones were Karshena, Shadar, Admatha, Karshi, Merez, Marcina, and Methmukin. And those 7 officials of Persia and Media who had personal access to the king had occupied the highest positions of the kingdom. The king asked, according to the law, what should be done with Queen Vashti since she refused to obey King's strict command that was delivered by the initiates. Mimikin sets their presence the king and officials. Queen Vashti has wronged not only the king but all officials added to people who are not the king of the Esther's provinces. For the queen's actions will become public knowledge to all women and cause them to despise her husbands, since the king Ashur's ordered Queen Vashti before him, but she did not come. Before this day is over, the noble and Persian media who hear about the queen's act to say the same thing to all the king's officials, resulting in more conflict and fury. It meets the king's approval he should personally issue a royal decree, let it be recorded in the laws of Persian media so it cannot be revoked. Vashti is not to enter King Ashur's presence, and her position is to be given to another woman who is more worthy than she. The decree of King Ashur will be heard throughout the vast kingdom, so the women will honor their husbands from the greatest to the least. The king and his counselors approved the proposal, and he followed Mikian's advice. He sent letters to all the royal provinces, to each province of its own script, to each ethnic group in its own language, and that every man should master his own house and speak the language of his own people. Chapter 2. Sorry, my throat's been a little sore lately, so if I messed up, just that. Chapter 2. The search for a new queen. Sometime later, the king Ahasuerus' rage and had cooled down. He remembered Vashti, what she had done, and what he decided against her. The king's personal attendant suggested, "Let's the search be made for beautiful young virgins for the king. Let the king appoint commissioners for each province of his kingdom, so that they may gather the beautiful young virgins of Haram at the fortress of Caesar. Her under the supervision of Haggai, the king's eunuch, keeper of the woman, and give the required beauty treatments. The young woman who pleases the king will become queen instead of Vashti." Suggestion pleases the king, and he did accordingly. In the fortress of Caesar, there were a Jewish man named Mordecai, son of Jair, son of Shemi, son of Kish, a Benjamite. He had been taken into exile from Jerusalem with the other captives when King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon took King Jeconiah of Judah into exile. Mordecai was the legal guardian of his cousin, Vashti, as Esther, because she had no father or mother. The young woman, a beautiful figure, was extremely good looking. When father and mother died, Mordecai adopted her as his own daughter. When the king commanded, the etiquette became public knowledge, and when many young women were gathered at the fortress of Susa under Haggai's supervision, Esther was taken to the palace into the supervision of Haggai, keeper of the woman. The young woman pleased him and gained favorably accelerated the process of the beauty treatments and the special diet that she received. He assigned 7 servants from her in the palace and transferred her and her servants to the Haram's best quarters. Esther did not reveal her authenticity of her family background because Mordecai ordered not to make them known. Every day, Mordecai took a walk in front of the Haram's courtyard to learn how Esther was doing and see what happened to her. During her year before each woman's turn to go to King's houses, the Haram regulation required her to receive beauty treatments with oil and water for 6 months, and then with perfumes and cosmetics for the other 6 months. A young woman goes to the king. She was given whatever she requested to take from her Haram to the palace. She would go in the evening and morning, and she would return to the second Haram under the supervision of King Nuch Shashgaz, keeper of concubines. She never went to the king again unless he desired her and summoned her by name. Esther becomes queen. Esther was the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who adopted her as his own daughter. When the turn came to go with the king, she did not ask anything except what Haggai, the king Nuch, keeper of the woman, suggested. Esther did clear in the eyes of everyone who saw her. She was taken to King Ahasuerus in the palace in the 10th month, the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. The king loved Esther more than all the other women. She won favor and approval from him than did any other virgin she placed. The royal crown on her head made her queen in place of Vashti. The king held a great banquet for all his officials and staff, and those Esther's banquet. He freed provinces from tax payment and gave gifts worthy of the king's bounty. Mordecai says to the king, when virgins were gathering at that time, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. Esther did not let her family back on earth and see as Mordecai had directed. She obeyed Mordecai's orders, and she always had while he raised her. During those days, while Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bigthan and Teresh, 2 of the king's eunuchs who guarded the entrance, became infuriated and planned to assassinate King Ahasuerus. When Mordecai learned the plot, he reported to Queen Esther, and she dealt with the king on Mordecai's behalf. Reporters investigating verified both men were hanged on the gallows. The event was recorded in the historical record in the king's presence. Chapter 3, almost halfway through. Haman's plan to kill the Jews. After all this took place, King Ahasuerus honored Haman, son of Hammekiah the Agagite. He promoted him in rank and gave him a higher position than all other officials. The entire staff of the king's gate bowed and paid homage to Haman because the king had commanded this to be done for him. But Mordecai would not bow down or pay homage to the members of the royal staff at the king's gate. Asked Mordecai, "Why are you disobeying the king's command?" When they had warned him day after day, he would not listen to them. They told him that Andrews see Mordecai's actions would be tolerated since he had told them he was a Jew. And Haman saw that Mordecai was not bowing down or paying homage. He filled with rage, and he had learned that Mordecai's ethnic identity seemed repugnant to Haman to do away with Mordecai alone. He planned to destroy all Mordecai's people and the Jews throughout Assyria's kingdom. In the first month, the month of Nisan, King Ahasuerus' 20th year, the prayer that is the lot was cast before Hanan each 12th day of the month, and it fell in 12th month, the month of Adar, and Hanan formed King Ahasuerus. There is one within a group scattered throughout the peoples in every province of, of your kingdom, keeping themselves separate. Their laws are different from everyone else's, and they do not obey the king's laws. It is not the king's best interest to tolerate them. If the king approves, then an order be drawn authorizing instruction, and I will pay 375 times silver to officials for deposit in the royal treasury. He removed his signet ring from his finger and gave it to man, son of Marathai the Agathite, the enemy of the Jewish people. Then he told the man, the money and the people are given to you as you see fit. The royal scribes were summoned on the 13th day of the first month, and the order was written exactly as the man had commanded it. It was intended for the royal satraps, the governor of each of the provinces, and the officials of each ethnic group. And written for the province its own script and its own each ethnic group in its own language. It was written in the name of King Ahasuerus, and the seal of the royal signet ring. Letters were sent by the couriers to each of the royal provinces, telling the officials to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the Jewish people, young and old, women, children, plunder, and possessions on a single day, the 13th day of Adar, the 12th month. A copy of the text issued law throughout every province and distributed all the people so they might get ready for that day. Couriers last appeared by royal command, and the law was issued for the fortress of Susa. King and headmen sat down to drink while the city of Susa was in confusion. Chapter 4, second to last chapter. Mordecai appears to Esther. Mordecai learned all that occurred. He tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, went in the middle of the city, and cried loudly and bitterly. He went only as far as the king's gate, since the law prohibited anyone wearing sackcloth from entering the king's gate. There was great mourning among the Jewish people of every province where the king's command edict came. They fasted, wept, and lamented, many lay in sackcloth and ashes. Esther's female servants sent her initially came and reported the news to her, and the queen was overcome with fear. She sent clothes for Mordecai to wear, that he would take off his sackcloth. He did not accept them. Esther summoned Hathach, one of the king's nurses, who attended her, and dispatched him to Mordecai to learn what he was doing and why. So Hathach went out to Mordecai in the city square, runs to the king's gate. Mordecai told him everything that happened, as well as the amount of money Haman had promised to pay the royal treasury for the slaughter of the Jews. Mordecai also gave him a copy of the written decree issued in Susa ordering their destruction, so Hathach might show it to Esther, according to her command, and approached the king, implore her favor, and pleaded them personally for her people. Hathach came and repeated Mordecai's response to Esther. Esther spoke to Hathach and commanded him to tell Mordecai how the royal officials and people of the royal provinces know one law applies to every man or woman who approaches the king in their courtyard and who has not been summoned, the death penalty, unless the king extends the gold scepter allowing the person to live. I had not been summoned to appear before the king for the last 30 days. Esther's response was reported to Mordecai. Mordecai sent a messenger to reply to Esther, don't think that you'll escape the fate of all the Jews because you are in the king's palace. If you are silent this time, relief and deliverance will come the Jewish people from another place, but you and your father's family will be destroyed. Who knows, perhaps you'll come to your own position for such a time as this. Esther sent a reply to Mordecai, go and assemble all the Jews who can find in Susa and fast for me. Don't eat or drink for 3 days, night or day, and no servants will also fast in the same way. After that, I'll go to the king, even if it's against the law. If I perish, I'll perish. So Mordecai went and did everything Esther commanded him. Chapter 5, the final chapter. Esther approaches the king. On the third day, Esther, dressed in her royal clothing, stood in the courtyard of the palace facing it. The king was sitting on a royal throne in the royal courtroom, facing its entrance. As soon as the king saw Queen Esther standing in the courtyard, she gained favor in his eyes. The king extended his gold scepter in his hand towards Esther, and she approached and touched the gold scepter. What is it, Queen Esther? The king asked. Whatever you want, even half the kingdom, will be given to you. If it pleases the king, Esther replied, may the king and her man come today and banquet I have prepared for them. The king said, hurry, and so her man so he can go do as Esther requested. So the king and Hanan went to a banquet Esther had prepared. While drinking the wine, the king asked Esther, whatever you ask will be given to you, whatever you want, even half the kingdom will be done. Esther replied, this is my petition, my request. I found favor in the king, and it pleases the king, the grant my petition, for my request, may the king and man come to a banquet I will prepare for them tomorrow. I'll do what the king has best. The day king and man left full of joy and good spirits. The man saw Mordecai, the king's gate. Mordecai didn't raise or tremble in fear at his presence. Man was felt a rage towards Mordecai, yet man controlled himself and went home. He sent for his friends and wife and Suresh to join them. Then man described for them his glorious wealth and his many sons, told them how the king had honored him and promoted him in rank over their officials and over the royal staff. What's more, man added, Queen Esther invited me, no one but me, so they joined the king at the banquet as she prepared. I am invited again tomorrow to join her with the king. Still, none of this satisfies me, since I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate all the time. So Esther and all his friends told him, have them build a gallows 75 feet tall. Ask the king in the morning to hang Mordecai on it. Then go to the banquet with the king and enjoy yourself. The last place of man still get the gallows constructed. That is all the reading for today. So Esther is a bit of a weirder chapter, I guess, because so far nothing has been yes, it was the Jewish people that were had the decree, but it's not directly talking about something God did. He's just kind of related to it, and so I'm pretty sure this is one of the only books of the Bible that isn't mostly focused on stuff God did. It's more about the people of God. But still, anyways, it started out in chapter 1 talking about how Vashti, the old queen, had really angered the king, and so he sent out this decree, and how that girl Vashti would be removed from the court official, the entire king, or from his presence, and he'd get a new queen. And so after a while, they start searching, and eventually they find Esther. So they think Esther's super beautiful and all this, and so she becomes queen. And so eventually Mordecai, he hears that these people are planning to kill the king, and so he sends word to Esther, who then on Mordecai's behalf reports to the king that people are planning to kill him. And so they searched it, he was right, and they kind of think Esther all that. And so then they somehow become really enraged at all the Jewish people, and so they set out this plan to kill all the Jews. And so Mordecai sends appeal to Esther, saying, "Hey, we talk on the king's behalf about it." And so Esther approaches the king, scared because if you approach the king back then without being called by the king to you, then it can result in the death penalty. And so she approached the king, and luckily he did not require of her to be killed. And so she throws a banquet, and he comes to it. And so she asked him about her petition, and it was just to come to her banquet the next day. And so as Haman was walking home from that first banquet, he runs into Mordecai and sees Mordecai by the inner gate, and it just makes him enraged. That completely bypasses all the amazing things that happened to him. Just there by the gate makes him angry, and so he has these giant gallows built and kinds of leaves off there. And so yeah, we'll finish off that tomorrow. But for now, I hope you've had an amazing day so far. Have an amazing rest of your day. Remember, God loves you.